I had an interesting start to this episode. I went to use my recording software to make this, and I realized when I looked at the bottom that I was live streaming, apparently. It was about 3 minutes into a stream, and I'm like, I wonder where I'm streaming to. So I clicked stop the stream, and then I went and looked, and apparently I was doing a private Brickatech stream to no one, just myself, thankfully, because I was probably just sitting here like typing and looking around, being all weird and suspicious as I typically am. And yeah, that's interesting. So anyone that's ever used OBS out there, there's a button that says start streaming, and then there's a button that says start recording. Be very careful which one of those you hit, because I've seen some compilation videos of people that thought they had stopped streaming or were actually streaming, and they were doing some unsavory things in those moments. So be very careful. I know I'm speaking to like no one, because there's probably like a 99% chance that if you're listening to this, you're not a content creator, but be warned by other people's mistakes. You don't want to make those. Anyways, on to this week's episode, which is this a business meeting episode or is this a missing pieces episode? Because I don't know. And that's why this episode is titled Blurring the Lines, because the things I'm about to talk to you about very much are business related. So it should probably be on the business meeting podcast, but it feels like it should be here where it's missing pieces, where I'm talking about my feelings and like life and stuff. And it's got me questioning the operation of this channel. It's like, should the business meeting podcast just be a business meeting segment on Missing Pieces, which is the Greg's World podcast? I don't know. We also have that other show out there called 3 Questions. And it's got me thinking, like, maybe when that runs out, which is going to happen sooner rather than later, because we only have 20 episodes of that until we're out of these lovely cards that I use every week. What if, when that ended, I replaced that show with just like a Q&A type thing, or maybe even a live stream, something where it's like very interactive. It could be listener feedback, live Q&A, whatever that is. There's a show for that. And then the other show is the one that you guys tune into every Sunday. What if it was just a 2-show rotation? One where it's like I get my things out, and then the other show is where I take the input from you guys and like we make something like great out of it. It's like a 1 + 1 = 3 type thing. I think that would be a really interesting thing to explore. And then like we could just absorb business meeting into this. So going into next year, I think I might consider that, because eventually, like, I don't know, like I have so much that I talk about on my vlogs, and there's so much that's going on my Lego channel, which we're going to talk about in this episode. And then I do this where it's like my journal, and then I do the business meeting thing, which is like a journal, but sometimes like a finance thing. And I don't know, I'm just all over the place with things, which is how I like to be. And I like to try things, and I like to figure things out and see what works and what doesn't work. And I'm thinking maybe that new rotation could be a really cool setup. So you'll have to let me know, if you're not out in podcast land, if you're on YouTube, is that something that you would like to see? Would you like to see like the Missing Pieces, which is everyone's favorite show of all the things that I do during the week? This one is the one that gets people interested, and probably for me too. Like if I subscribed to a channel that was doing something similar to this, I'd probably be into all of them personally. But this one, where it's like a more personal thing, would be my jam. But if we did that, and then we at the same time, like throughout the week, they have 2 episodes. We do the other one that is like a listener contribution type thing, or a question thing, or a feedback thing. I think that'd be really cool. So let me know what you think about that. But we'll jump into this one here, starting with Greg's Arcade. Since we're talking about streaming, let's just go over there, since it is a business meeting. We're blurring the lines. Greg's Arcade's still down. Clark and I got busted like 3 weeks ago now, when we were doing a Minecraft stream. He was primarily doing it. He was on camera. He was playing. I was in the background talking to chat and or cleaning up down here. And YouTube shut us down on that, and then like banned us from streaming. I thought just for the day, so I was like, okay, that's fine. Came back the next day, couldn't stream, got on with YouTube support, and they said it'd be a 14-day suspension, essentially. I'm like, okay, cool. 14 days passes, still doesn't work. 15 days, still doesn't work. 16 days, still doesn't work. I decided to get on with YouTube. And I explained my whole situation to this person named Pat, probably not their actual name. And they look into it, supposedly. Like they're trying to check with whoever. I don't know what they're actually doing, just making me wait like 20 minutes. Until they finally come back and say, I'm going to escalate this to our internal team, and you'll hear back from us. And I said, Pat, when can I expect to hear back from you? He said in a few hours. I'm like, okay, cool, no problem. I hear back from Pat. It's just an email saying like, hey, this has been escalated and you'll hear back in a few days. It's been a few days. It's now, we're almost at 2 weeks. It's been 19 days now since we were shut down and still no resolution. So I'm losing hope that I'll ever be able to stream there again. But that's sort of okay. The more I've been thinking about this, I'm like, why even bother streaming? Why not just do the thing that I was going to do anyway, but record it? Like, remember when I talked about that button that says start streaming or start recording? Instead of hitting the start streaming button, why don't I just hit the start recording button? And then Clark and I just do the thing we were going to do otherwise. And then when it's done, I can just throw that into my editor. I could do like a little intro, almost like a little journal intro, like, hey, this is Monday night where we sat down and we played some Mario, and it was a really great time because this thing happened. I hope you enjoy, and then just cut into the 45 minutes of us playing. It'd be the same thing as a live stream, but it would probably do better with the YouTube algorithm and such, because YouTube really just hates live streams in general, except for when they're live. When they're live, they get a priority now where they're like at the top of your feed. If you get on YouTube and one of your people that you follow is streaming, it'll be parked right there. But after that, YouTube doesn't like recommend streams. YouTube doesn't actively promote streams. YouTube won't show streams in search results. YouTube is very much still video based, as much as they're kind of moving into shorts, which is probably going to be the next thing. Live streaming is not going to be YouTube's thing. So if I upload that as just a regular video that looks like it's just a 45-minute video, in YouTube's eyes, they're like, oh, okay. And if I put a fun thumbnail on it and a good title and we have that little intro and maybe an outro, I think that could do much better than streaming, because oftentimes with streams, some people won't watch it just because they weren't there for when it was live. And really the only reason you would stream it, there's two reasons, I suppose. One is because you can interact with the people that are there currently. But with my small audience on my Greg's Arcade channel, there's not much interaction there. There's a few people here and there, and you're not really missing out on much in that regard. And then two would be the ease of not having to edit or upload it. But for me, that's not a big deal. I can easily do that, and it would not be a problem to shoot a little intro outro and do the stuff that's required of that, especially if you're not editing like the middle parts of it. You know what I mean? Like if you're not sitting there through a 45-minute video and cutting like all of the little best parts out, which that would do even better, but I don't think that the juice is worth the squeeze in that case. That would take all the fun out of gaming for me and make that like another job that I have in a world where I don't need any more things on my plate. So that may be where I take this, and maybe this was just a message from the YouTube gods that this is the route that I need to take. So Clark and I think are going to bring back the gaming thing this week, and we'll just see how that goes with uploading it. And I'll just do that pretty regularly, and I think that will actually do pretty well. But speaking of incompetent people, going back to the YouTube person, who I'm like 99% sure that the people that you get a hold of through like YouTube text, it's probably some like center in India. No offense to any Indians that may be listening, but like they don't know anything. They don't know how to fix anything. They take your problem and try to see if it fits into any of the little like searches that they can do. And then like the first person I ever talked to about this just tried copying and pasting the YouTube's policies on live streaming to me. And I'm like, I know all of this. I need you to actually do something to help me. At which point it seems as though they just made up this bogus thing about there being a 14-day suspension. Where did that come from? Like, I'd love to see that in writing. I'd love to see somewhere on YouTube where this is even documented. It just seems like, I don't know what the problem is, but hopefully their internal team can fix it. But if not, I'm 100% prepared to never live stream on that channel again, because I don't think it would be really that bad if I didn't. Plus, there's always Twitch that I could stream there and then upload to YouTube, which is what a lot of people do. I just don't like the idea of going over to Twitch because all of my audience is in YouTube. And again, it would just be like, there'd be like 3 people watching a live stream there. And I just don't think it would do anything for me, like business-wise. So like, why bother? Why not just have fun, record it? If it sucks, like if that turns out that it sucks, I just delete the file. Or if nothing exciting happens, or if it's like say you're trying to do something in a game and it's nothing but frustration and you don't accomplish that goal, just bail on that and then do it again. Easy. So that's like a little bit of our business meeting there. But the incompetence that I was referring to with repair people, I've been fairly cursed with this house. Anytime that I need something done, it's very hard to find a competent person to come do nearly anything. I don't know if it's just the area we're in, but if you need like electrical work done or repairs or whatever it is, it's like you make a bunch of calls. Very few of them even call you back. None of them answer. Very, very few call you back. And then some of them make appointments and then never show, which is what happened to me this week. We had a couple shutters blow off our house in heavy winds. It's very windy up on the mountain here. And I was like, okay, I'm going to paint up these shutters, get them all ready, and then I'll just call someone to put them up. The only reason I don't do it is because I'm not a fan of heights, and I'd much rather pay someone to come over with a ladder and make sure that they're secured up there the way they should be and like properly put them on the house. That way this doesn't happen again. Otherwise, it's just me going up there constantly putting new shutters on because the wind gets behind them and then whips them out, right? I called this guy, answered right away. I was like, oh, interesting. He's like, hello? And I'm like, hey, is this so-and-so? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, can you do this? And he's like, yeah, I can come out Sunday or Wednesday. And I was like, well, Sunday is like our family day. So let's do Wednesday. And he's like, okay, Wednesday at noon. Perfect. It was, my spidey senses were tingling on Tuesday and thinking like, I should call this guy to follow up. But I was like, no, let's have some trust and some faith in people, which is always a mistake because people will always let you down. And that's why I hate relying on others for almost anything because people are unreliable. And obviously you probably know where this story's going, but Wednesday comes around at noon. He doesn't show up. I stay outside. I had this stuff already and I started pruning some things back because it was nice out. Like 12:30 comes and I'm like, all right, let me give him a call. It rings, then goes to his voicemail, which is full. Okay. I call him again at like 1 o'clock. Rings, goes to his voicemail. It's full. And I was like, all right, we're done. If you have a voicemail that's full, in my experience, based on my past job, it means that you're a deadbeat. And what a deadbeat is someone that doesn't pay their bills. The reason your voicemail is full because credit card people and debt collectors are calling you and filling your voicemail up with messages and you're not retrieving the calls. Either that or he's so darn good at his job that he has people phoning him off the hook to go get work done, and he just does not have time to keep up with all those messages. But I'm betting it's option 1 rather than option 2. So I bailed on this guy, and I called another guy who answered, and he said, hey, yeah, no problem. I'll come out tomorrow at 1 o'clock, and we'll take a look at it. I was like, all right, great. Guess what happens with this guy? He did actually show up. I know you were thinking he didn't show up. He did show up. Him and another guy took a look at it. They came up with a plan. But it's not so easy because he said, well, I've got another job going on and this is something that I can do like in the afternoon after that's done because it's putting 2 shutters up and securing some other ones. It's not an all-day event. And he's like, I'll call you and let you know when I can come. I haven't heard from him yet. So it's like so frustrating. It's like I have the money to pay you to do what you do for a living. And I'd like you to do that. That's going to be my new message when I call anybody to do anything for me. I'm going to say, hi, so-and-so, this is Greg. I have money to pay you to do the thing that you professionally do for a living. And I want to pay you to do that thing that you do. Please call me back. How hard is that? How hard is it to be competent? It's got me thinking that I could literally go into business doing anything. And if I just did a good job and I called people, and I was like good with customer service and responsible and showed up on time, that's like 99% of it. Literally just doing the bare minimum is 99% of it. If you did an exceptional job, you would be like the best person at whatever it is that you do. All you have to do is call someone back, show up on time when you're supposed to, actually do the job, do it proficiently. Easy. So if you're a person that's wondering like, man, I've been thinking about going into business for myself, or I should learn a trade or something like that, freaking do it, man. Desperate for people to actually be able to do work. Like I guess you could say, well, Greg, why don't you learn to do it yourself, you lazy bones? Well, here's the way I look at things. And I watched a video on YouTube a really long time ago that brought up this sentiment, and I agree with it. It's basically the specialization of labor. I make YouTube videos for a living. That's what I do. I make videos, I edit videos, I upload videos. That's my job. That's what I do. There's a guy out there that does nothing but fix houses. That's what he does. He does home improvements. He does repairs. Would you call that guy to make a YouTube video for you? No. Would you call the YouTube guy to do a home repair for you? No. We all do what we do, and we do that well. So stick to what you do and let the other people do the thing that they do, hopefully, or that they're supposed to do. It's just so frustrating. Anyways, you will see some of that content in No Zero Days, which is kind of like it's my new series that I'm vlogging little bits of my life in an effort to show that I'm working towards my goals and like things are getting done. And that's been going well. So you'll get to see like the shutter operation. You'll get to see me and my frustrations, just shaking my fist at the sky and stuff like that. But I'm enjoying doing that. And I've kind of brought that over into my Lego channel as well. I was really like, for a while now, I've been kind of back and forth on my Lego channel and figuring out what to do there. I know I shouldn't even really worry about it because like the Lego thing, as much as it feels like it's a big part of my life, and it is in terms of like a hobby and how much I love it, from a business perspective, since we are blurring the lines here, and this is a business meeting, Missing Pieces episode, I have single videos on Greg's World that outperform Brickitect for the month. Like one single video does like twice of the revenue as Brickitect. The entire channel, the thousands of hours and days that I put into that, one single video, and not just one video on Greg's World, multiple videos outperform that. Like, it's so crazy that you could have one video that you spent maybe an hour of your life on outperform something that you've spent years, 5+ years of like near daily uploads, one video. A sane person would say, Greg, why bother? Why put 80% of your effort into something that produces 0.5% of your income? And you're like, you know, you got a point, but sometimes you do things because you love them. This podcast is an example of that. There's no reason for me to do this podcast. There's going to be like 500 people that listen to this or watch this, or I guess probably like 1,000 by the time it's said and done. If I shared on Greg's World more, but between the listeners and viewers, that's it. I don't put ads in this. There's an ad that plays before this. There's no ad breaks. Like, you're not going to hear an ad for Charmin toilet paper right now. This channel makes next to nothing, but I enjoy it, so I do it. So that you shouldn't always just focus on money. You should focus on what you love, and the rest will follow, and that's what I've learned. But with the Lego thing, it's just a passion project. I love doing it. But what I don't love is collecting Lego anymore. I really want to go the creative route, and I've decided, and I'm not going to talk about that here because it's like beating a dead horse at this point. But what I really want to do with that channel is sort of like what I'm doing with No Zero Days, where not every video feels like a special thing on itself. It is just a segment of a journal entry of a day. So I'm making like a Lego video journal, essentially. Like, hey, here's what I worked on today. Here's what I got accomplished. Here's a mock that Clarkman made. See you tomorrow. Like, it's just going to be a thing like that. And I love that. There's no pressure. It's just work on what you want. And I think like going forward with all of these ventures that I'm in, No Zero Days in Greg's World, the podcasting thing here, the Lego video journal, all of it is just kind of centered around a normal dude just kind of sharing his experience in life, or reflecting on it in this case. And I think that's a great place to be. I think if you can get a dedicated audience that is just kind of into following that, it's so much easier to like retain that audience than it is if you're like, oh, here's the brand new Lego set that I want to share with you, and here's a review. So people flock to that. And they're like, oh, I love new reviews. And they click it. But what do they care about you? They care about what you have to offer them. They care about the thing. They don't care about the person. And that's not where I want to be in YouTube, because that's like a very scary place to be, where you feel like you're always trying to provide something to satiate these people's appetites for the things. I invited people. When I made my manifesto video, I invited people to unsubscribe. If you're here just to see haul videos or whatever, the newest thing, this isn't the place for you. Be gone with you. And I feel very confident saying that. And it's interesting because a few people did leave, right? And at the time, it feels kind of like, oh, that kind of sucks. But you know what's interesting? More than that number replaced those people. So what I'm doing is I'm replacing these fickle people that only care about the newest and best thing or what you have to share, like show them, to replace it with someone that's like, I'm here because of what you have to share, not show, like you as a person. And I feel confident that I have enough and I'm worthy. You know, this could be a place of like arrogance. And if you feel that way, that's totally fine. But I think there's a line between being arrogant and confident. And I feel like I have the confidence in myself, which isn't something that I've had like my whole life. I feel confident in myself to do the thing that I'm on a quest to do. And I feel very good about it. And I think this will be an awesome thing. I do see some like contraction. Like, I don't think that we're going to see explosive growth in this, but I think there is going to be a core audience that is very fluid, that moves around the channels. If you like the Greg's World No Zero Days, you're probably going to like the No Zero Day Brickitect version, the Lego version. You're going to like that. And if you like that, you're probably going to like the podcast. And if you like the podcast, you're probably going to like No Zero Days. It's like a triangle. It's like the triangle offense. Thanks, Phil Jackson. And I think it's going to be amazing. I think this sets me up for something that can really just take me into the future. It's like the next Vine to grab, because you can't live off of making a Thomas video or like Lego videos or whatever. It has to be something bigger than that. And I'm excited for where this is going. So I just kind of wanted to share that here. I know, like I mentioned, I talk about this moving away from being a consumer of Lego into an enjoyer of Lego. And I'm going to like cut that off because you guys don't need to hear it anymore. But I feel very good about that direction. And I think it's going to be awesome for Clark and my relationship. Trying to figure out if that's proper English or not. Next thing into the show here. Another business thing, selling on eBay. I mentioned last week that I had this guy I sold a projector to, and he got it. I sold it for $200, and he got it and sent me a message, and he bought it like instantly, right? And then he asked a question, which I was like, okay, let me go get the answer to that. It's how many hours does it have on it? So Cody and I turned it on, and I was like writing the hours down. I went to go reply to him, and it turns out he already bought it. I'm like, okay. So I messaged him, and I'm like, has this many hours on it? Is that okay for you? Do you still want to buy it? And he says, yeah. So I packed it all up, sent it out to him. And then he sent me a message, a week later saying, it has this flashing light and I don't feel like the picture is as good as it should be and all these things. And he's like, it might've gotten damaged in shipping. And I was like, have you tried like this, like, maybe I can help you fix this. And then he's like, well, I actually buy and sell these pretty consistently. And I've even had this unit and this is how I feel about this. And I was like, okay, what do you want to do? I was like, you can send it back to me or we can do a partial refund. And I was like, how much would you want to do? And he said $100. So basically 50% of what I sold it for. And I thought, well, the prospect of me selling this for $100, something that for the last 2 years has been sitting in my storage room collecting dust and serving me in no way, I'd rather have the $100 than to get it back and then have to relist it like with issues and then sell it for less. So I just gave him the $100 and then went about my way. But I was very suspicious at the time because when I looked at this guy's eBay page, like this guy that I thought was just a Joe Schmo that I was trying to help resolve these issues he's having, he does have like just a ton of projectors for sale, all of them with some type of issue. So I noticed the next day that he had that very same projector that apparently was problematic for him that I sold him for $200 and gave him $100 back. He has it for sale for $277 with the slight issues noted, but saying it still produces a beautiful image. See for yourself. And it just really pissed me off. Like I got freaking scammed on eBay by this guy. And I bet you every other listing he has on there, probably the same exact thing. He finds something that he thinks he can make a little bit of money on. And then he messages the person and says, well, hey, this thing's garbage. This thing has a problem. Let's get some money back off of it. And he does. And then he uses that to increase the amount of money that he makes when he flips it. I will say, like, what I should have probably done is not believe the guy and just told him to send it back because it would have been at his own expense. He already paid for shipping once and then he would have had to pay to ship it back. And I think doing that as a bluff may have convinced him to not do that. But me believing in the good of people, I thought, well, he could at least sell it for parts or whatever, but it turns out that he's actually selling it for more. And it just kind of made me mad. But I couldn't do anything. Like these buyers on eBay, as a seller, seeing it from this side, the buyer they're holding you hostage. They own your feedback score. And if they give you negative feedback, that is going to be a problem. So in most cases, it's better just to make them happy and take the L or whatever the kids are saying these days than it is to fight it or whatever. But now this guy's, he's going to flip that thing probably, make more money than he even bought it for. He could have made $70 on it. And why couldn't he have been happy with that? Maybe he thought maybe he really did think it wasn't as good as it was going to be. Maybe he thought he was going to sell for $400. Now he has it for $277. I don't know, but it's just aggravating. That being said, it's the only time that's happened to me. I've sold lots of other things. In fact, this week I sold a brand new Lego set that I think my in-laws got at a yard sale. I sold that for $100. I sold, what was the other thing? So my old iPad that's been sitting in a drawer for like 2 years, sold that for $100. And it made me realize why I'm thankful to keep all my boxes and stuff because I had like a really nice presentation and stuff. But I made $200 off eBay this week. So you can't cry over spilt milk. You can't get too upset about this one minor setback of this one jerk because I don't think it reflects the norm. I think people, in my heart, I believe that people are good. I think when you're born good. If you look at young kids, like look at kids Clark's age, those kids are good. It's things that happen to you in your life and things that come up that change you from being that. Just like I believe everyone's an artist. It's the life things that turn you away from the good side into the dark side with Vader and Palpatine. But yeah, that happened to me. And you guys probably saw that coming from a mile away. But for me, being a noob eBay seller and naive and believing in people, I got punked. Let's now move on to life update stuff. Obviously, I'm still doing no 0 days, loving that. I'm so thankful to have all these videos recorded. I was just thinking back about how August, September, I didn't really record much, and I regret that. There was so much that was happening, and why didn't I film it? Now I'm filming like just like these little things, and it's fun to go back and edit and turn these little things into little clips of a day. And I'm kind of working those out. My first episode was like an entire week, and it was like 30 some minutes, and I felt like I was way too long for people. So I've been trying to keep them like 15, 20 minutes ish. Yesterday's was like 8 minutes because this next one's going to be like 15 or 16. And I was like, do I want to drop a 16-minute video behind an 8-minute video? I just don't think that's necessarily good. And I was also thinking, like, I did a poll today. Most people prefer like the medium range videos. But I was thinking like that 30-some minute video that I dropped of 7 days of my life, I could have, instead of making one video out of that, which did really well, and I'm happy with the financial performance of it, I could have made like 4 videos out of that. And you think about the average YouTube viewer, say it comes out on a Sunday, for example, and you don't get on YouTube on Sunday, you're busy doing something else. By the time you come back on Monday, so many things have like filled up your feed, and that might get lost. Whereas if I had 4 videos coming out, one on Sunday, one on Tuesday, one on Thursday, one on Saturday, you're bound to catch one of those, and then you see like the other one you missed, and then you go back. Plus, I think it's less daunting for people. Just like I was mentioning earlier about live streams, seeing a 2-hour live stream can be daunting, right? You're like, whew, I don't have time for that. You see a 7-minute video, a 12-minute video, that's a lot easier to to commit to than a 39-minute video, for example. So I'm gonna like kind of work those into like 15-minute segments, and I feel like if people want longer ones, just watch another one behind it. Plus, I think the YouTube algorithm like that. Plus, I think it's more money for me, which this is what I do for a living. Surprise. So I need to do what's best for the bottom line, at least in one aspect of what I do. I mean, if you look at everything else I do, nothing makes sense. None of it makes sense. But I need to do one thing that makes sense, because the artist in me, I want to do the week-long video. I want to be like, this is entry 1 week in my life. This is entry 2. Week 2 of my life. But that doesn't make sense for business, because one of those 4 videos could pop off with the YouTube algorithm and do really well. Whereas if you have that stuffed into the middle of a 39-minute video, it's all lost. It's wasted. In fact, that's the reason I should probably just make each day its own thing. If it's a 2-minute video, it's a 2-minute video, but we'll see how it goes. This is all fluid. Nothing is set in stone. I might have this going now, and it could completely change. And that's the beauty and danger of being, I guess, a self-employed content creator. You have no one directing you, telling you what to do, where to go. You're figuring that out for yourself. But the nice thing is you don't have anyone telling you what to do and where to go, so you can figure that out for yourself. And as you can tell throughout my history here, things sometimes come, things sometimes go. But what doesn't change is the general direction, which is working towards whatever it is that I'm working towards. I don't even know sometimes. I want to say consistently creating content in one way or another, regardless of what channel this thing or that thing may be on, or how I deliver it, whether it be in live stream or through regular videos. No matter what, I'm always going to be a content creator. It's just where's it going to be and how often is it going to be delivered has been the only thing that's really changed in the nature of the content. All those things are always changing, but the overall message has never changed. And I think that's a good thing. I don't have a rabbit hole for this week, but I've been really getting into arcade games, like vintage arcade stuff. I tried getting my old arcade unit working this week, but I'm having issues with it. So I came up with this idea to download like MAME. It's like it's called Launchbox, but it plays all these old arcade games, and it has like these packs where you download like 4,000 classic arcade games, which, if you're wondering, is like 60 gigabytes of data. And then I was going to use my arcade sticks and hook that up to my computer, and then I can play like pretty much any arcade game, like as though it was in the arcade. And I was like, ooh, this is kind of cool. Like maybe I'll get like a standing desk and have like the arcade sticks there, and then have a monitor and stuff. I don't need like the huge wooden thing around it with the marquee, as cool as that is. I don't necessarily need that, but I want to make like an arcade setup. And I was thinking about having it back there right where Skelly is. I just noticed he's still in the video. He came downstairs from our window. It'd be kind of cool to have right there, just kind of down at the bottom of the steps where you can play an arcade game. Plus, if it was hooked up to a computer, I could always record that content and then do my little thing where I'm like, hey guys, I played Ms. Pac-Man last night and you won't believe the high score that I got. Watch and be amazed. How's that for an intro? I would watch that video. I'm like, really? And hey, I scored like 16 points. They're like, Greg, you suck. You suck at Ms. Pac-Man. I love the game. I love Pac-Man. Anyways, speaking of people commenting about you or judging you, I was thinking a lot this week about the idea of validation online and how all social media essentially exists just for people to be validated. And I'm sure I fall into that too. I post videos on YouTube. I beg you guys for comments so I can read them and I guess feel validated through that. But I was thinking about like, what would Instagram be like, for example, if they got rid of the like button? Would anyone still post their stuff there? Like, sure, you want to post things to be seen, but I think the primary motivator for people that actively post is to see how many people like it, how many people comment on it. You want to feel validated, like you're a good person, and gosh darn it, people like you, right? What if you got rid of that? What if you got rid of likes on YouTube? What if you got rid of comments? You just post into this void. Would you still post in this void if you couldn't see any of the results? You can't see how many views, you can't see anything. You just exist. I mean, for me, this is my business. This is what I do for a living. So I would always post, but like, what if that just didn't exist? It would take away all of people's reasoning. Like you post, I guess the two reasons that you'd post online is for validation, for people to like, I guess, yeah, validation is the only reason, for people to tell you how amazing you are. And then the number two part of validation would be to confirm that you're right about something. You post like your argument, your side of the things, your statement. So other people will be like, yeah, you're right. That's what I was saying, I don't know. It just seems so foolish, doesn't it? It just seems so silly. But we get trapped in that. We get into the doom scroll and we want to be a part of it. But all we really want is just validation. And we don't have that in our real lives, unfortunately. We don't have a social network anymore that actually exists in real life. Like people don't go places to see other people. People don't have the reason to. You just sit there and you look through your Facebook feed or whatever it's called on Facebook, and you see all your friends or whatever and what they're up to. And for you, that's enough. But you're not really in part of their life. You're just watching people's things. And what you're watching are these people's highlight reels where you don't see that, they tried taking that photo 75,000 times before they got it right. Like we've been on vacation before and there's these girls trying to, what I'm assuming, take photos for Instagram and spent like 30 minutes trying to get like this one photo of this girl in the pool. You don't see that, but then you scroll through, you give it a like, right? And then she's like, yes, people love me. Yeah, that's what being on social media is like. And probably the reason that it'll always make us happy. Just my thought of the week. Listener feedback last week was limited, but mainly related to the car hunt. That's like, it's interesting sometimes when you make these long-winded videos like this. Like right now, I've been going for like 30 minutes. But there will probably be, if there's anything, there will be one thing that people fixate on from this whole podcast. Like I could sit here and like spill my heart to you guys, but if I bring up like one topic that can get people, that gets like people engaged for some reason, I always find it very interesting. Like you always, it happens a lot, especially with things like that. In this case, it was thought of getting a Tesla, Greg. I did think of getting a Tesla. I love the idea of not having to do oil changes. I love the idea of charging the car at my house here. What I don't love is the idea of spending that much money on a vehicle. Like the one that I would want to get would probably be a Model Y because it's a little bit bigger and I need the space because that's like the whole reason that I'd want a different car. And I think they're like $60,000 or $70,000. Whereas I think I could get a pretty reasonably equivalent gas vehicle for like $40,000 some. $20,000 is a lot of gas. That's a lot of that's like at least 6 gallons of fuel. So to me, I can't justify it. I can't justify the cost. Like I'd love to get a Rivian more than a Tesla. Like the Rivian truck is absolutely sick, and I'd love to get that. There's a massive wait list on that, and again, that truck's like $70,000. I don't drive anywhere. I don't really go many places. In fact, that's like the whole reason why I'm like, I should just keep the Subaru. Mainly because I don't want to have to pay sales tax on the new car that I get. Like you buy a $40,000 car in Pennsylvania, you're paying 6%. That's $2,400. Did I do my mathletics on that? Yeah, I think it's $2,400 that you're going to pay just to the state for purchasing that car. I don't want to give them $2,400. What have they done to deserve that? That there was a day where that $2,400 could actually get you a car. Those days are long gone, obviously. But having that thing you own it's nice to have. A part of me, like, being that we're on the car topic, and this obviously gets you guys going, gets them involved, gets them fired up. Part of me was like just thinking about leasing a car. I know some people would say it's throwing money away, but I love the idea of just like not having to worry so much about the car. Although, I mean, I guess you're responsible for damages. But like if I get a new car, this is my biggest worry. If I get a new car and I think it's scratched or dinged in any way by no fault of my own, I'm going to be sick. I'm going to be sick to my stomach, just devastated. Whereas a Subaru, that thing gets another door ding or dent or whatever. I'm just like, frig it. It's a Subaru. It's 10 years old, whatever. So like a part of me doesn't want to get a new car just for that reason. I just want something bigger. Maybe I should just get an old like Ford Expedition or something like that. Put some big tires on it, jack it up, and have fun with it. I don't know. Someone also said that I should get a Sprinter van, which I've looked at, and that's really appealing for like camping, and you can like kit them out however you want. Like you can get, Mercedes makes these, by the way, and it'd be pretty classy to say I have a Mercedes, even if it's a van. You can get ones that's like a cargo van in the back, or you can get ones that's like full passengers, or you can do what we would probably do and get the crew one, where you have a front seat and then you have like a back bench seat, and then behind that's empty, so you can do whatever you want back there, like go camping and stuff. And that brings me to another idea that I had that's just wild. And if you made it this far in, God bless you. You're something. You're special. I thought, now that I'm not collecting Lego so much, how cool would it be if I started this series where I go on a Lego selling spree and I use all the proceeds from those sales to buy an RV or a van or camper of some sort. So convert all these plastic pieces that are sitting in the storage room behind Skelly back there. If you're not watching this, there's a skeleton standing behind me right now watching me as I record this. It's as creepy as it sounds. What if I converted all of that stuff that is not serving me in any way, just taking up space? What if I converted it into this asset that we could take and go exploring and traveling and having like family adventures in? That overall would be a much worse investment in terms of like financial value, say in 10 years from now, whereas that Lego is going to probably appreciate and the vehicle would depreciate. But how much are the memories worth? How much are those experiences worth? How much is the content that you can make of all the places that you go worth? I'd say a lot more. That's my other thought of the week. I hope you enjoyed my thoughts of the week on this rainy Friday in Pennsylvania. I'm currently recording this Friday afternoon, as I tend to do. And this would be like a great time to like stop this and then hit up that live stream that we would do like listener feedback and like chit chat on. So I'm like kind of into that like thought. I'm into that idea. It's just, how would it go in principle? That's the thing that I wonder. Would there only be like 2 people there, being that this is kind of on a dead channel with only a few hundred people that are really active who also have lives? I don't know. So maybe we'd make it like a recorded thing, and I'd just be like, hey, if you guys want to talk about something, friggin' put it as a comment or whatever, and I'll hit it up while I talk about other things. Could be a cool thing. Or maybe we just make one, like, you know how if you have any little hospitals in your town over the last decade or two, they've all been gobbled up by the bigger and bigger hospital to the point where you just have like one super system. Maybe this show becomes that. It just gobbles all the little things up and becomes this huge thing that's like a 2-hour extravaganza. I don't know. We'll see what you guys think about it. Probably nothing at all, but we'll see. There's always that chance. There's that glimmer. Give me that validation. Hope you guys have a glorious week, and we'll see you in the next Missing Pieces.